delete the thing, but okay. Now we're live again. It's fine. We're live.
Yo.
Yeah, we're live. And we are here to talk about witchcraft, so life be lifing. Yeah, we had a bit of I guess this always happens to us in August. Like everything just gets super busy. It's like all of our busiest times. It's Sophia's super busy with work, and I'm also busy with work, and also it's Pagan Pride season, and we're vending a bunch of events, so life just gets crazy. And also, when you're fighting fascism 24/7, it becomes your new normal. That's also there's an adjustment period, where you just have to kind of roll with the punches. So yeah, we had a little chat last week. So instead of recording, we got together and we had a little chat. Yeah, we knew that like we're not a political podcast, you know what I mean, but politics affects all of us, right? So there's always going to be some kind of discussion or mention because you can't escape it, especially when your very existence is a political discussion topic.
And to attempt to do so is irresponsible and selfish.
Yeah. But I do also think that we do need to get back to our roots, and that's kind of what we're here for today. So I do want to start
And
off
I'm
with.
always happy to talk about Magick.
Oh yeah, and especially because like I think now that I don't know, I've settled. I guess my brain has adjusted to this new traumatic shift of things. Like all millennials, there's you have a couple months, couple weeks, whatever, however long it takes you to process, and then you're like, okay, this is just what we're doing now. I'm just gonna keep doing my thing. However I can help. Let me know if you need a hand with anything at all. um, but yeah, we're back. So I guess I could start off with some updates. I do have some kind of, and it's relevant to everything that we talk about here. Yesterday was Lehigh Valley Pagan Pride Day out here in PA. And me and Rue packed up the car and drove our butts up there. It wasn't too bad. It was only like an hour and a half drive. So it was actually nice, and we didn't have to pay tolls. That was also very nice. And the no tolls route didn't really add any extra time to the drive, so it was it was great. It was great.
Fuck tolls. All my homies hate tolls.
Yeah, seriously, fuck tolls. Like I get like they're the service the roads and stuff, but like you could also just like what are my taxes for? You know what I mean? Aren't they also for the roads? So whatever. So yeah, that was really nice. The weather was great. I wanted it. I was hoping it was going to be a little more overcast, but it was not, and I got a little burnt, unfortunately, even though I still put sunscreen on. Whatever. Yeah, I know. I see you, Scott. You're like,
I get it. I get it.
Yeah. But it was a good day. We made back our vendor fee plus, and so I always consider that a successful event. Like whenever it's really at this stage of me making products and getting in the vending circuit. It's just really just to get our name out there, get the product out there, and have people know, that we exist. So
Can I also say I feel so bad when people get sunburnt because I rarely do, and I don't have to wear sunscreen. I'm just like, sorry.
Yeah, it's a bitch. It sucks because like I like being outside. Like I really genuinely enjoy being outside, and
Me too.
Just that sun, man. It just cooks me.
Yeah.
Terrible.
I also don't got allergies to anything outside either. I'm only allergic to dust mites and cockroaches.
Oh, that's not bad. That's pretty good.
That's superb.
Yeah, I have some seasonal allergies, but they're not like super bad. Like I can function.
My allergies have been pretty good recently, knock on wood, but
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, people bought one of our scrying mirrors. Scott, Darian, and Rue had made some scrying mirrors the other day. So we ended up selling one of those. I think 2 packs of paper, 2 bundles of the paper that we made. No takers on the ink yesterday, no takers on the pens, but yeah, it was pretty cool. And then for the raffle, I put our giant skeleton key amulet thing that I had, and I put that as our raffle item. Yeah, it was
Very nice.
Yeah, it was a great day overall. I always advocate for you to check out your local pagan pride events, and if there isn't one, start one. And if you don't know how to start one, talk to me, and I'll help you. So
Yeah.
that's what I have for updates. For me, any other updates? The two of you.
I moved. I live in a skyscraper now. It's loud. So if you ever hear like, because I have the window open, and you hear like honking and shit, let me know because I can just close my window and it'll be quieter. And I also have a bunch of audio dampening going up, but sadly you can't audio dampen the windows. So just
Yeah.
let me know if it's ever loud and shit. But my
Mhm.
roommate won't ever. You'd never hear them on an episode. So
That's good.
yeah, and also it's kind of cool being at a higher altitude. Just as like a brief touch on this, there's kind of a phenomenon that's been observed when you're at a higher elevation and you're like meditating or doing any mystical arts. You feel so much more fucking plugged in. I swear to God. Like, I grew up at about 1,700 feet above sea level right now. I'm on the 24th, aka 23rd floor, because nobody marks the 13th on the elevator. We're not superstitious. We don't believe in ghosts or stuff like that. Quick, nobody write 13 on the elevator.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure,
No
guys.
13s
Okay,
on
yeah,
this
society.
elevator.
You're very fucking rational. Whatever.
Right.
Um, anyways, so you get to like see really far out, and it's really nice. But you also get to like meditate at this higher elevation, and I felt so much more like plugged in up here, and like it's not like I like hear audible voices, but like when I meditated a long time ago, especially in my hometown, you get more like response thoughts in your head from something that was very determinably not you. It's like you're having a dialogue with something. I didn't realize how much I was struggling to have that at a lower elevation because Toronto at ground height's about 250 feet above sea level. So with the added approximately 240 feet up that I calculated on the internet that my apartment's at, that puts me at around 500 feet above sea level, which is a lot better than nothing. So I've been having a little bit better time meditating, having clarity, and like sitting out on my balcony and looking at the sky and seeing more UFOs and going, "Oh fuck, wow, they're really visible up here, huh?"
It's funny because I mean I didn't connect it to the altitude, but a couple like maybe a month ago now or whatever it was, I went to the Poconos with friends, and
Mountains.
I was there, and it was so powerful, like
Mm-hmm.
just the wild of the place, and the activity of the spirits that called that space home was so potent. And I don't know if anybody else experiences this, but when I get swept up in large currents of magic in sort of that liminal natural space, right, when it's just sort of vibrating up from the ground, I get very compelled, like almost sort of sort of possessed by it, if you will,
Like
to do
ecstasy, like
something. I have to work in that space, and I had already got there, introduced myself, I gave water to the spirits, like I like whenever I'm in a natural space, especially, um I try to make sure that the spirits of and on the land are aware of who I am, and whatever, whether
What
I'm
you
doing work.
doing there?
And it was funny because we have this beautiful fire set up, and I just was like, you know what, let me because a lot of like a lot of the people there, it was me, Darren, and two of our other friends. One of our friends is he's like interested, but very like mildly, and my other friend who was there is interested, very like very much so, kind of on a spiritual journey of his own, trying to find what it is that he wants to do. But he does find magic very, he does seem to feel that pre-Christian, paganism or whatever, magic seems to be something that fits within that for him. But anyway, I was like, you know what? I said it would be cool to summon a fire elemental to aid us in fire scrying into this beautiful fire. It was so cool. The air was chilly. it felt honestly like an autumn night by this big roaring fire
Yeah, we had a
outside.
couple days of like false fall here. It was nice.
Yeah. And I remember I started working in Invocation, and it was funny because the whole atmosphere, like, you could feel it. Even the other two who aren't practitioners themselves could, like, they were kind of like, it was funny though, they were getting not uneasy, but they weren't used to that level of like feeling it, like, that pitch that occurs
Yeah.
when something's pulling up,
Yeah,
and
because like sometimes people, the reaction is to like freak out and like get scared because you're like people aren't used to
yeah.
that feeling, and you're like, nah, it's cool, just ride the wave.
Yeah, and they
Yep.
get nervous, and unfortunately, and I was right there. Like it was like you could feel this thing like rising up out of the heart of the fire itself, and you could feel it pull. And I'm like I'm riding it. I'm like with it, and
Mm,
my hand is over the fire, just not enough to get burnt, but enough to feel the heat on my palm to sort
mm.
of feel it a little. Um, and it was happening. It was the most pronounced summoning I've ever done. But unfortunately, uh, my friend, the one who's very curious, he still at times can struggle with the morality and ethics of magic, and he was like, but it's not your house, and it's our friend John, our friend's house, our friend's family's house in the Poconos, and he was like, maybe you shouldn't summon anything here, and he kind of like interrupted it,
Mm,
and he broke my focus, and I'm one of those people that as soon as my focus is broken,
yeah, just
it just falls
fizzles.
away. And I'm like,
You motherfucker!
I was like, I was right there. And he's like, I know, I could feel it, but he's like, I don't know. That's literally what he said. He's like, I don't know. And he was clearly uncomfortable.
He was uncomfortable with the feeling, and then so tried to kind of like but like, oh well, it's not your place, it's not your property, so maybe you
He wasn't being
shouldn't.
mean. He wasn't being mean
Yeah,
about it. I just like I think it was just
I think
it
it
was
was like
hard for him.
fishing for an excuse to explain, like, I want this to stop, but I don't know how to explain to you why, so I'm going to use that as a reason, kind of
Right.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
When in
because
reality, no one
I'm
owns land, so period. End of discussion.
right, which is kind of what I tried to get that
Yeah,
across to him. I think because I
especially
had
because it
once
seemed like what you were connecting with was something of that land, like a land spirit
right, like
entity kind
of
of
the
thing.
fire itself, right? I tried to describe that to him. I like because I think, um, Sophia, I don't think I could hear you. By the way,
Yeah, I was muted temporarily. I feel
Oh,
you so much on this, and I have a mini rant, but I'm totally waiting for you to finish.
I also it's funny because I think the reason he went there is because I had told him that there's a phenomenon in older folk magic where the owner of the house, like he was asking, like why it is does it seem like in really old folklore there's this thing of permission, like where does that permission thing come from? And I said, well, I was like, there's a couple of places, but I said, there's the whole like ancient laws of hospitality stuff, but there's also, which is probably where it stems from, but the idea is that the owner of a house, and I was telling him this, so like in older, especially like older American folk magic,
Hmm.
the idea is like the owner of the house tends to have like this sort of how do I put this? Like the spirit of the
There's a
house is
word for
attached
it.
to them.
There's also a word for it too, for how you're supposed to treat somebody when they come through. That is also tied to this, and it's called Xenia, Xenia, and it's like the expectation that a host should provide like care and cover for someone who's coming to their place. It's like the right of being a guest in someone's house, and to betray that guestship is to betray the concept of Xenia.
Right.
That seems common
And
across a
so
lot of cultures.
yeah, it's a very animist worldview. That's why it aligns itself strongly with our animist origins. Um and how animism builds relationships, right? It's relational. And I tried, telling him that, like there's a certain level of protection that one has in their own home due to the house spirits and that kind of thing. But I think that maybe they've misinterpreted that as well a little bit, to think that the land itself, the dwelling, certainly, but the land is kind of free. But again, he wasn't being mean. He was just very nervous, and you could tell he was very nervous. So in some ways, I felt a little bit bad for working such a powerful thing. But I was going to instruct the fire spirit to allow them and all of us to reflect and contemplate and scry into the fire. I wasn't going to have it do anything,
Yeah, you're not like, go dance
go
around the
after anybody or
forest
do
and
anything.
burn it down,
Right. It was just simply to scry and to see, if everyone was. We were there to relax and whatever. I wanted us to have a moment of reflection and contemplation, so we can look into our lives and yeah, you get what I was going for.
Yeah.
But it made him nervous. But it's funny because I was at a higher altitude and I did feel very powerful, but I just connected that to the wild, right? I connected that to the green, but I mean, I could,
But really, if you think
it is an
about
interesting
both,
correlation,
like you had
right? It's
both
an
Mhm.
interesting
working
correlation.
for
Yeah,
you at that time.
absolutely.
This is also why nearly every religious monastery in the world is built on the peak of a mountain or on top of a meteora. Higher elevations was always what they sought.
And that's why
I thought that
horns
was
in the
always
early
for
days on.
I thought it was for like safety though. Like, isn't it harder to like attack something on top of a hill or
There-
It
mountain?
depends. Wouldn't it be easier to attack? Wouldn't it be harder to attack something that's embedded in the side of a cliff, which has no ways to sneak up around it? Even at the
Well,
top
yeah,
of
that
a
would be
mountain,
hard.
you can be besieged from multiple sides.
Yeah.
If they were trying to be built like fortresses for defense, we'd see a very different structure in them.
And it's funny too because about the height thing. That's why horns on gods, even on altars, were really popular in the early days of Christianity and Abrahamic faiths. Even they had horned altars. Particularly though it was early Islam, but that came from early Canaan. They had horned altars. Their altars sort of had like these horny aspects to the corners of them, and then of course we also had in Europe, we had gods with deer antlers or moose antlers or whatever, and
Is it like
it's very similar.
antennas?
That's where, right, that's a lot of scholars believe that that's where in Christianity with the concept of the halo,
Where that came from?
Yeah, it's this
Makes sense to
connection.
me.
It's an interesting phenomenon.
Also, if you think about the monster that people often misuse the W word for when they're just depiction of it, because it's often like shown as like a human body with a deer skull, that's actually a leshy out of European folklore, which has the skull of a deer and the body skeleton of a man, and they're like a forest slash I think they had to do with like swamps as well spirit, and they're like a protectorate. And if you don't fuck with a leshy, but because of the imagery behind it, which is like one of the few things that people could find online, they misappropriated it and applied it to like local monster legends out here, which is incorrect. That's not how those things look.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, I that's interesting. That's interesting about altitude and connection. I wondered if too, because one thing I noticed about altitude and connection is breath. I feel like I could breathe a little bit better at a certain altitude, just in general. So
it's funny.
You
That's
get out
the
of the
opposite for most
miasma
people.
of the city.
So yeah, there's a dual effect here. One, if you get a little bit higher, you do get above the like ground level pollution of the city. But also, once you get to a certain elevation, the air starts to thin out.
right.
It's different. So I will say this: it's different because we often actually misunderstand this quite a bit. So the air density, like let's say where my hometown was at 1,700 feet, at ground level, it's actually going to be comparable to sea level. Now, don't get me wrong, there will be more oxygen at sea level just by sheer compression ratios and like the widespread nature of it and how the ocean works with recycling and all that shit. But the way that water pressure works or air pressure works is everything's pushing down, right? So even if you're, say, at 1,700 feet in a valley will hit different than a mountain because the mountain doesn't have the same ground pressure to hold the columns of air the way it does, which is also why mountains are windier, and they are also more notorious for having thin air. If you're at a higher elevation, you're still going to feel it. You're still going to feel the pressure shifts for sure. But being in a valley will still hit different than being in a mountain if you're at a high altitude.
Mm-hmm.
Same with skyscrapers. So anyways, yeah, that's kind of like what we were going to use as our life update section, but we just talked about magic shit anyways, so we on the magic
my
train
God,
now,
yeah.
baby.
I
Yeah,
think too.
it kind of naturally transitions into what we were kind of going to talk about today. Scott, what you were saying about how your friend was like, "Hey, maybe we should stop and not do
Yep.
this," right? Because of that
Mhm.
uncomfortable feeling. So, essentially, like Scott had said this fun catchphrase when we were together last week when we had met behind the scenes. You said scrape knees, get occult degrees. Like that's it. You have to get your hands dirty. Sometimes you're gonna get hurt. Sometimes you're gonna get smacked around by the forces that be. And we're not saying this from like be irresponsible and just shotgun off spells and good luck. It's just there is a level of, I don't know, sometimes you just have to test and sometimes you have to experiment. This is not an exact science and it will never be. And I think that's kind of
If you'll let
the
me,
nature of
I
it.
have too many rants to run into right here.
Mm-hmm.
So before I forget, the first one is going to be about how you have to do your magic your way, and you have to learn that through getting your scraped knees. But the second rant is going to be about how nobody owns the land and how plant harvesting also falls into the similar category of calling spirits. So I'll do that one first really quick, and then I'll jump into the other one about your magic has to be done your way. So I get really annoyed when somebody is mistending their aesthetic bushes that they put on the front of their house. The number one is lavender, because to keep lavender healthy, you need to pick it. It's like literally one of those plants that wants you to pick it as it's starting to go to seed, and it'll continue to produce more fresh lavender shoots throughout the rest of the year, and the plant will be in better health and it'll spread more and grow. Like when you stop picking it, it starts thinking that it's dead, and then if it starts budding up like that, and the plant will start shriveling and stop drawing as many resources. And then if you get a late September heat, it can really scorch your plant and hurt it in a really bad way because it doesn't have the green nutrients and resources in it. So people will actually hurt their lavender plants by not picking them and just using them as aesthetic bushes. And it is like morally justifiably right to pick people's lavender bushes if it's within reach. They're not putting pesticides on it, and you can offer something in exchange for doing it, right? Like give it a little water, give it a little whatever, like don't just take something for nothing. But the same thing goes with like someone being like, you can't take from that tree. Yes, I can. First off, you don't own the land. You might own the land from the bank, but what gives you the right to have the land anyways? Because you fucking stole it, right? And like people have been harvesting plants for generations. The agreement of harvesting that plant is between me and the plant and the land itself. Now, if somebody's actually doing proper caretaking of the land, yeah, I'd like talk to them a little bit, because somebody doing proper caretaking of the land isn't going to stop somebody from picking fucking medicine plants. They're going to like be like, hey, make sure you're doing it this way, or make sure you don't take these. Like they'll have like certain stipulations, but you should already be following those anyways, right? Because it's not hard to like do this in the correct way. So yeah, fuck anybody who thinks that like owning the land from like a title deed of a bank gives them the right to tell you not to harvest a plant on their property. Yeah, fuck that shit. Okay. Any thoughts on that before I dive into the other one?
No, I understood.
No, I totally get that, and it
Yeah,
really it pisses me off because Rob, he's the leader of the Kindred that I'm in, founder, whatever. There is some Karen-esque person in his neighborhood that calls on him for he has an amazing garden. It's got everything in it. It looks chaotic. It looks like a bunch of weeds, of course, because, no one really knows what an actual real, garden is supposed to look like. But anyway, so it looks like a bunch of weeds, whatever. And someone keeps calling on him to trim his weeds. So, like, anything that's overgrowing onto the sidewalk, and so he had to cut down, like, all of this, like, stuff, all this, like, beautiful stuff. And, that's just what it made me think of,
Tragic.
like, we have these, like, laws in place, like I think about HOA type places, or even just city violations. Like, the thing around here is clip. Like if your shit's overgrown, then you get a citation from clip, and whatever. And it's just, it's fucked. It's like, why are you punishing me for having green living things outside of my house? Like, I really fail to see what is wrong with that, and it comes down to aesthetic. It doesn't look nice. So what looks
It's also
nice?
control.
Yeah, that too. But like a lot of it comes down to like, well, it looks like shit. It looks like trashy, because you have like giant weeds in front of your house, and it's like, well, would you rather me have dog shit? Would you rather me have trash? What do
Real
you
talk?
want in front of my house?
They want you to have a tailored lawn or the aesthetic of something similar to a lawn, simply for the resellability of the property value, because it's all tied to financial acumen. So if it looks like it's worth less money, it's always an optics thing. People will think it's worth less money, and therefore the neighborhood's worth less money. And because housing has a knock-on effect, because a lot of it's speculative, you really have this uncontrollable desire for people in the West to try and take control of somebody else's space, because it leads to their own personal financial acumen. So to dovetail back to the other point about scrape knees get occult degrees, here's something I've been finding. You really got to learn how your fucking magic works personally. Because, like, guess what?
Boom.
Sometimes, yes, you do get special rules that apply to you, and you have to do shit differently than other people, right? Like, I've been reading through fairy books, courtesy of Scott. Thank you very much. They're excellent. And I've noticed that there's certain rules that I have to work with that other people just might not. Right? Like certain things that I'm allowed to do or told to do differently when I'm working with these things. And it's just based on how your shit works, right? If you have a different relationship with something because of your positionality to it, you have to operate in accordance. And you don't find that out by being safe. You don't find that out by just reading somebody's book and then never doing anything with it, right? So, like, when I'm learning this shit, I'm learning what rules, because most rules are there, like, placed out of, especially in the fairy faith, they're placed out of not superstition but experiences from somebody who's had like prior experiences with these, out of an abundance of caution, because it is still something that at large we don't understand the granular nature of. We can understand how to interact with it really well, like magic and like non-visible beings as a whole, but the nature of them is very, like, we're not them, so we can't know what it's like to be them, and we have a closeness we have to get and a level of respect that we have to pay. But then if you have a relationship with these things, sometimes they'll just be like, no, you can say thank you to me. I actually don't care about that. Like, that doesn't trip me up at all. I don't have a problem with that, even though some people won't like being thanked. But then, like, you can tell that they also don't necessarily even like being called fae. They won't like smack you for it, but they kind of like bridle a little bit. But if you call them like the good neighbors, they're like, hey, what up, what up? Or like little people, they're like totally chill with that, right? Or like the unseen ones, or any of like respectful terms. Sorry, go ahead, Scott.
No, just real quick to point that whenever I call them like fae, or I get the like the eye roll kind of thing, right? I get that like that feeling of like okay, whatever. I guess you could say that. You know what I mean?
Kind of because when
and the thing is, like, I try not to now. Just because I get it, because that's how I feel when people just look at me and I get that they're like, oh, he, him, right? And you know, and I'm like, oh, okay, you know. I'm like, fine, whatever, you know. But when I do call them the good neighbors or the she, or something that aligns more closely to how, like, once again, like you said, I interact with them, how I've come to know them. Yeah.
Like, you can't call the Tuatadanan fae. You call them the Tuatadanan.
Right.
Sorry,
and I think sometimes, like, you get that reaction from them because I think, especially us, where we are in our practice, what we know about what we call the fae, quote unquote, we know, like, sometimes I think even when we say the fae, we we're saying it. We're using that term because that's the more generally accepted term.
Because
But
other
we
humans
know
are going to understand it.
exactly. Like we're saying it as like this is
Mhm.
the word that you know these things as, but this is what they really want to be called. But this is how it works. But yeah.
Oh my god! Oh my god! I just realized the funniest thing that you can say because I just rolled over at my head. I was about to say like I'll never say like the F word with the hard Y, and I'm like, oh my god! You know what I mean? Like the one that they do for like how they would refer to them as children. That word they really don't like. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think
They're
like you
kind of
said,
okay with Faye, but if you drop the hard Y, they're like.
It's almost like I'll
the only
show
time
you a fucking fairy. Like
the only time I'm ever okay with that is when I call their realm the fairy.
Mhm.
If I say that, I'm fine. I don't feel that prickly vibe.
because
But
I think that's the thing is that's that like the place is fairy, and so maybe it's they
It'd be
became
like calling
called
someone,
after the
"Hey North
place.
America." It'd be okay. It'd be like imagine me going up to you and be like, "Hey North America," or "Hey America, what's up,
Yeah, like
America?"
and you know
right.
what? That could happen. Like if I was in high school like if we were in high school or something and I transferred to like a Canadian high school or whatever, like I moved to
No, we'd call you
Canada.
Yank at best.
Okay, well, I mean, but like it could be like, "What's up, America?" Like who knows? But yeah.
But I think it really does depend on the classification of spirits that you're working with. What are their taboos and the norms that come with that? That you learn from. You do learn that often from reading or having an elder teach you. Um, but I think it's best practice not to continuously break taboos. But I also think that spirits are I've found in my practice that spirits are a lot more forgiving than we like to pretend that they are.
Mm.
They're
Yep.
not they're not heartless in a in the sense of they're not goodless, you know what I mean? Like they're not just cruel to be
Uh,
cruel. It's complicated. It's more complicated than that. Mhm. Good.
as a brief aside, so I actually think that a lot of the people saying their punishments are unnecessarily cruel are actually just like not understanding the severity of the harm that they cause with other actions, and therefore with smaller actions like saying thank you, they're like generally afraid of because they don't necessarily like maybe they so like you notice how like when you build a relationship with someone, right? If you fuck up constantly, they're expecting you to fuck up and they're more annoyed when you fuck up. If you
Mm.
almost never fuck up, they're like, you're good. It's like that person who's been coming in like early 30 minutes every day for like the past 5 years, and then like one day there's an accident on the freeway and you like send an update, they're like, don't even worry about it, right? It's kind of like that, right? When you develop a relationship with something, there's more or less tolerance based on your behavior and how you've interacted with them as a whole over that past period. So if you've been doing good, they're more likely to like slide off a incorrect behavior instead of like really pouncing on your ass for it. But if you've like been fucking up a lot consistently and they're getting tired of you, they will smoke you for probably every little thing. And I feel like that's where the abundance of caution with like the little silly stuff to me, like not saying thank you, seems a little weird because they're always just like, no, go ahead and say thank you. It's fine. Like you don't need to be like, I am grateful,
Yeah. Yeah. Which is something
or
that
at
I
least
do.
I don't.
I'm honestly, I do sometimes just because I'm like, I get in my own head about it. I'm like, but I honestly don't think they're not as difficult to work. Like, the good neighbors are not as difficult to work with as people think that they are. But it's not even just about the good neighbors either, right? Like, it's not even just necessarily even about spirit work always. I mean, I guess, but what I'm trying to get at is that the idea of scraping your knees, right? Do magic. It's okay to do magic and have like weird effects occur, right? Like unforeseen. Like um you do something and it doesn't play out the way you think it will, and maybe you didn't work the spell in a correct way. um and some people claim that spells don't have backlash, some people claim that they do, and I don't really care one way or another. But what I care about is the fact that spells do have outcomes that were not foreseeable, or you didn't think about that, and you feel some sort of effect from it, right? Or your life becomes a little bit harder, or something occurs due to the spell that you worked and it not playing out the way that you intended. All these things, like things like that, I think it's okay. I think that you will survive. It's not as if uh, it's not going to kill you. I've certainly have broken taboos in my practice. I have worked magic that probably was not justified or deserved. And
Because
I
you're a
felt
human being.
icky. Right. You're allowed to fuck up. You're allowed to mess up. I think that we're a little too cautious. And we're so we've come to this point too where I think that like with the past moon, with the past lunar eclipse that wasn't visible here in the States, but was visible in Europe and I think it was visible in India and other places. But a lot of people were like, don't do anything, don't manifest,
Right,
don't work under the blood moon. And I was like,
why wouldn't you work
why?
under the blood moon?
Meanwhile, Nepal's like, yo, I think it's a good time to overthrow the government.
Right.
I'm like, why are we not working under the blood moon? And it's funny because that's exactly why. I made a post about this on my TikTok about how blood moons are great times for works of destruction, aka destroying
Charlie Kirk, Etsy witches.
Yeah, I would like to talk about that briefly. That's a fun.
We could talk about it. We could talk about that too. Yeah.
Yeah.
But they're good for works of destruction. They're good for works of malefica, necromancy, and even initiation. Blood moons are good for initiation. I know in I was
blood of the
talking
womb
to
kind of thing, rebirth.
Yeah, exactly. It has like a rebirth type of situation. There's also a bit of American folklore that I think we were talking about when we got together last week, where I was saying in American folklore there's an old tradition from the American Midwest where you would get a silver bullet and and this is an initiation ritual to initiate yourself as a witch. You'd get a silver bullet in a revolver and you shoot it at the full moon. And I've always had I guess you would call it unverified personal gnosis, even though the folklore doesn't say this. But what it does say is that the idea is that the moon bleeds down and her blood washes over you, initiating you as a witch, right? But I was always like, I wonder if it would be potent, according to that folklore, to sort of shoot the moon right at the moment of the starting of the eclipse, right? A lunar eclipse, and then right the blood moon, right? So I always thought that was, and that might be a little bit of UPG, but I feel like it's a very logical logical step. You know what I mean? So I think that yeah, I think that we should be working under blood moons. I think that I also think that it's for a lot of people it's also a great time to work with chthonic spirits in general, hence necromancy and whatever. But you could work with your chthonic gods, your gods of death, your your dark goddesses, like what have you. I
think it's kind of like
I think it's a great time for that as well.
Like what Sophia was saying earlier is like you have to learn your magic. So like whether your magic is like a mishmash hodgepodge of everything, or you are working within a particular system. Maybe there's a particular folk magic system, or a religious magic, a folk magic. Whatever it is, whatever system, paradigm, thing you're
whatever
working
grabs
with.
you by the synchronicity.
Exactly, like work, because like what you were saying, Scott, like you're like, I think we should, like the statement, like imagine if you typed on social media right now, I think we should be doing magic on eclipses, or I think we should be doing magic during the blood moon, and what would happen? It would be like, oh, like the whole thing. So it's like, if you're like The thing is that there is no right and there is no wrong. There is no universal, yes, you can do this, no, you can't do that when it comes to magic. It is within the system of magic that I practice, we work magic on eclipses. Period. End of discussion. And that should be taken, like, we need to be able to take that at face value. We need to be able to be like, okay, just like no different than, like, and, we have, like, this is how we celebrate, like a Thanksgiving dinner, right? Like at my Thanksgiving dinner, we have mac and cheese. At my Thanksgiving dinner, we don't.
Mhm.
And it's like
Right.
neither one is incorrect.
You know what it is? It's just that I feel as if a lot of young practitioners don't experiment the way millennials did.
No,
There's
there's
a lot
not.
more
Yeah.
caution.
Mm-hmm.
When I was coming in the early 2000s, I was I started, I feel like, at the late 90s, the very late 90s and the very early 2000s. I was pretty young when I was getting interested in this stuff. And I don't know, like I was very willing to experiment. I was doing I was doing was, as young people call it, deity work, like I was doing all sorts of stuff then. And I just was very
some of this might be millennials to blame. Like authors maybe, like coming out with these books,
Nope.
like, you don't think so? Like
I'll tell you this. I've seen this exact attitude in martial arts. It's the exact same thing. People always are more preference to whatever is relevant to what they're learning. So, for example, if they're learning something that is a little bit more, say, Wiccan or a little bit more this, they're always going to think that their system's a little bit better. Like there's this huge debate constantly in martial arts. Which martial art's the best? And anybody who's done enough martial arts know there's no better martial art. There's only a better martial artist, right? It's not the form, it's what you're doing, right? And people kind of forget this in witchcraft a lot too. It's not like this person working with this goddess is somehow better than you because of the goddess choice, or it's more synchronous somehow. I mean, it's definitely more synchronous to them, right? But it's all about focusing in on what you're doing and what works for you and being good at that. If you say have hypermobility, you're maybe not going to be doing the exact same martial arts as somebody else, but you might be like really incredibly good at like high kicking, and taekwondo is like perfect for you. Bam, you got your thing, right? You have to know what works for you. And this is, again, dirty and scraped knees get occult degrees, right?
Yep.
You just people have to stop thinking that their thing is superior just because it works for them. That's not how that works. It's just better for you. And people need to stop thinking that something else is worse, except for Wiccans. Sorry. I just love to dig at Wiccans. People need to stop thinking that something else is worse just because they don't do it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's funny. I didn't realize how interconnected those debates were about sort of which I've died on the hill many times about. There is no like superior tradition of magic. There is only more competent practitioners of magic, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I never realized how connected those debates were, or those conversations are. But yeah, it's like even down to like spirits that don't work with those spirits, don't do that, right? And it starts to very much sound like one of the things that I was saying to myself relatively recently was a lot of that conversation about like, well, that deity is like this, don't do that, right? Or this spirit is like that, and it starts to very much sound like that that like when that white colonialism infiltrated magic, and it's like this idea of like you demonize like the Loa and the Orisha because they're from black and brown cultures, and it's like, oh well, they're like they're actually bad, you know what I mean? It's like, no, they're actually not. You know what I mean? Like
just the exact same way that when they thought the shooter of Charlie Kirk was a leftist or this or that, they were ready for fucking civil war and calling us animals. and screaming on camera. But then the moment they find out it's a white conservative, it's
Prayers.
this and that, and it's like, you fucking two-faced bastards are looking for
Yep.
any justification to get your little race war.
Yep. Exactly. And that's really what it's what it's really starts to sound like. But the caution in general is just so odd. I remember, and my mom still laughs about this to this day. When I was first getting into this, I would come home from school and I would I don't remember, I think this is when I had like my first book on Wicca, I think. And I would get any candles I can find, whatever, it didn't matter the color.
Yep.
And I would set up like this little makeshift altar, and I would try to like meditate, and I would try spells. And what I would do is and it's so funny, I would get so relaxed and so in the moment that I wouldn't realize the time, because I would get home from school before my mom got done work, and the bus would drop me off and I'd come home, I'd eat my snack and do my homework, blah blah blah. But after I do all that, I would do these rituals, and I would have to like quickly go, blessed be, and I'd blow out all my candles, and I'd rush around putting all the candles back where I found them, and I'd run up to the bathroom and I'd get the air freshener so she couldn't smell the candle wax, and I was like,
it's like, you smoking weed? No, I'm just doing witchcraft.
I was too young. It wasn't high school. It was actually eighth grade.
Yeah,
and
still.
I know. And and it's so funny, like eventually she caught me, right? Like eventually she caught me. But the cool thing is that my mom was mostly cool with it. Like she still had like dredges of the leftover satanic panic, the idea that like what we do opens portals, and it's funny because like I've had to tell so many people that like that whole idea came from the satanic panic, and I was like, what we do, we wouldn't render the veil is a relative term, and it's weird, but it's not what people think it is if it does exist. But I said it's not like if we wanted to make a space, like if we wanted to rip a hole between dimensions, we could technically, but like that does not happen unless we want it to. You know what I mean? Like leaving open our circles or making like purposely intentionally haunting a space, right? These are things that we could do and we're in our right to do if we so fucking please, but it's definitely not just going to happen because we do magic. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like
the intent has to be there.
Right. There's a magic works in a particular way, right? We the will and intention and the focus has to be on that, right? Creating openings between the spirit world and this world. And the thing, it's funny because like when I'm giving water to my ancestors, I always say something to the effect of, may this water be nourishing to you. And also too, may this water make ease your transition from the world of spirit to the world of the living. Which is another reason why we keep water on our ancestral altars. But yeah. So technically, I guess in some way, sure, we witches, we practitioners work to create liminal space, but we are in control so badly. They want us and everyone else to believe that we are these purveyors of supernatural chaos, that we have zero control over the liminal, that we are these not wise ones, but we are these like diabolical what is that word, saboteurs, right? Like they want this idea that we're releasing arcane forces to destroy the goodly Christian, right?
And you're like, girl, I wish.
You know what's my least favorite term too that we throw around? Dabbler. Oh honey, just because I'm not a Wiccan doesn't mean I'm a fucking dabbler. Do not come at me with that shit. I will dabble your ass out of here.
Yeah, I can see how that can, be irritating. But there are some people that are dabblers though. Like they'll just test it, like they'll just kind of
Sure. Call a spade, but don't call anybody who's like trying to learn shit a dabbler.
Yeah,
like I got called a dabbler all the goddamn time by Wiccans when I was young, and they wouldn't tell me any shit. They're like, "We don't talk to dabblers," and I'm like, "Bitch, who the fuck do you think I am?"
Yeah,
I think too, it's important to distinguish, like with Wicca. I have spoken to many initiated like Alexandrians, and they're great. When they're initiated, I think the problem we have right now is that one, we have a lot of people who don't like. And I don't mean you, Sophie. I'm not talking about you when I say this. Just as a heads up, we have a lot of people who have a lot to say about Wicca, but they're practicing some form of Wicca, which I think is interesting. And a lot of them, they don't know what real like Wicca is.
Yeah.
Like for instance, like a lot of them think like the Threefold Law comes from Wicca. The Threefold Law comes from High Magic's Aid, which is a work of fiction by Gerald Gardner, and it didn't come in until later. Most Wiccans will throw magic hands. Like most initiates will throw magic hands with you expertly, I might add. But I think that a lot of people who are still looking for identity in this community, especially lately, they do that. But they also do it too when we were younger. The thing is that Wicca was all we knew when the three of us were younger, right? Wicca was all we really had. We didn't really have.
I was doing psionics.
Right. Well, there was psionics too, but it was often seen as separate phenomenon.
Yes, even though they're incorrect, they're the same fucking thing.
100%. Yes, I agree. And especially at the time, they were seen as separate. And what was I trying to say?
Well, you were just kind of saying that like Wicca was kind of what was there. It was easily
right. Wicca was
accessible.
There. We didn't know about Robert Cochrane as much. Like Cochrane wasn't a big mention. Cecil Williamson. We didn't know about traditional craft. We knew nothing. Like it just wasn't on the radar.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of this also relates back to that as well. This sort of pacified magic stuff where people are really scared to get into things. It comes from this sort of new age caution, right? I don't know if any of you have ever experienced this, but I have run into many times where I've been told from new agers that I am low vibrational, that I am and they would incorrectly label me a left-hand pather. And I'm like, I don't even consider myself that exactly. I mean, one could argue that point because I will work both hands, but that's what we did. We all did. Like that's what everyone did. Right, the crooked path, as some call it. But yeah, like we all did it. Like magic, offensive magic is again a tool of the oppressed. We have been cursing and fucking maledicting our oppressors for a very long time. When I say we, I mean our collective human ancestors.
And a curse isn't always about death. Like a curse isn't always about killing someone.
Right.
It's like, I want you to experience financial ruin. I want your wife to leave you. I want your kids to hate you. Like it's
I want you to no longer be able to have an erection.
That's a common one. Oh my god. Yeah, that's in all the OG like grimoires that you find and shit like that. So
yes,
it's more than just like I want to kill you. That's the Hollywood, movie kind of thing. Like the witch ones.
Well, it's because what people are so afraid of. But and that's another thing too. Like let's also be really real. The energy necessary to pull off a death curse. Death curses are hard. And I'll be real with you. I'm good. Now I will say this. Could I protect myself?
I want that on a t-shirt too. I'll be real with you. I'm good.
I'm good. I can protect myself from a death curse. Would I be able to pull off one? I don't know. It really depends on the circumstances.
Now here's a question. Can you protect yourself from being smited? Because it's very different to smite someone versus curse them. And that's one of my favorite fucking spells to do. If you need a definition for smiting, I can give it to you.
I've always associated smiting with like god tier
Gods.
stuff. Yeah, like
Kinda.
the gods smite. We curse.
The gods can
hex,
smite,
you know.
but you can. So I've found that I can't curse for dog shit, right? If they don't deserve it, I can't hit them. But if they deserve it, I can fucking thunderfuck their ass. That's what I call smiting. If you've done something to earn your karmic window, bitch catch these hands, right? If you haven't, I can't do shit to you.
Yeah, that's similar here. I can't just work for petty reasons. I find that when I have tried to work Malefica for petty ass reasons, I get my ass handed to me. My spirits don't like when I do unjustified work, and
so you smite as well then.
I guess so. I still call it cursing, but sure, you know what I mean. Whatever
call
the
it whatever
word,
you want. I just like the word smite because it makes the understanding that there has to be a karmic window for the spell to work.
Yeah, there has to be, deserving, yeah. So I can't curse without someone having actually deserved it, which is why, I've gotten my ass handed to me too many times in the past because I was like, you're a bitch, I'm gonna curse the shit out of you, and then it's like, no. And then every once in a while, the thing lands and I'm like, what's different here? And then I come to realize as I got older was they deserved it,
Catch me on those fucking reversals though, and don't be coming at me with those hands because I got extra shit I ain't even talking about on the podcast, and it comes and claps you in the fucking head.
Right. So I mean, like, yeah. So I agree with that. But also too, like, I mean, maybe you should to get back to the topic too, maybe you also should try working petty curses. Like, I survived, it sucks. I hate
live,
the vibe of it.
That's all I get. There's the meme. I live, bitch.
But
yeah,
I'm serious.
So like,
maybe you'll find out that you're good at petty curses.
Right.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone has their skill. Everyone has their shtick and their skill set for sure. I guess it's a little difficult, right? Because we're older, wiser. We've done the scrape knees part, but we're still scraping our knees though too. Though, like, I still experiment.
Oh yeah.
I still fuck around. I still find out. It's difficult to convey, I guess, maybe like have a sense of caution, but like have a sense of caution, but also like you can't be terrified of it, or else you're just kind of studying it for the theory,
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Scott, can I call you out in a cute, funny way? Not like a bad call out.
Yeah.
You would absolutely be the type of witch who would love to learn how to split a stone with an evil eye just to keep it in your back pocket.
Oh, that'd be fun. Why have I heard that before? Why have I know what you're talking about. Why do I know?
In some traditions, they like very like ancestral, where you like learn from your family member. You're not considered like practice at doing the evil eye until you can split a stone or kill a plant with it.
Damn.
That's right. I remember this. I remember this. Yeah, I don't have it. See, in my family, so it depends on where you're from. In my family, you have to have it. So, like, in the family tradition that I come from, you have to have the evil eye. Although it's weird because
I can't talk about what my family does on camera.
It was a folk tradition. I don't really mind that. And it's not just mine. It was regional. So that was okay. So like in our tradition, it you had to have the eye, but it was weird because it kind of contradicted itself at times where, like, you still, like, if anyone like complimented you, they had to say like God bless or bless you, or like oh, your baby is so beautiful, God bless, in order to stop the transfer of envy, even if it was unintentional.
Oh, interesting.
So it was funny how, like, it was almost contradictory. Like, you have to have the eye, but like in general, everyone had to sort of be like, oh, God bless, or God bless her or him or whatever, in order to stop the transfer of the eye. Weird. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah. It makes sense. Like it makes sense, but it's also contradictory. Yeah.
That gets back to what I
Yeah.
was talking about with the fairy faith, where they do a lot of stuff out of abundance of caution because they don't necessarily understand exactly where the edge is.
Mm.
Yeah, I could see that. I could see that. It's just
It's
a
like when
way.
you're. Sorry, go ahead.
No, good. I was just finished.
It's like when you're driving in traffic and somebody is not a good driver, so they give like 5 car lengths distance in a traffic jam and drive unnecessarily slow because they don't know when somebody in front of them is going to stop and they're not sure their reflexes. It's exactly like that. Whereas if you're driving every single day constantly, you know exactly how much you need and you're good and you're watching it and you ain't never going to get in that fender bender, right? I mean, you might, but like shit happens. But like, it's the same mentality. If people are less practiced at a skill, they will always give an abundance of caution and draw a line artificially back from where the actual line is.
That is, yeah.
That's
Yeah,
what it
that
is,
makes
practice,
sense.
because that's what it comes down to. It's like if you're doing a sport, like you have to practice martial arts, you have to practice learning an instrument, you have to practice. Practice does not just mean reading books, and even sometimes I get into my own book reading binges,
Me
where I'm
too.
like, I need to learn everything about this, and then I get out of my own head. You just have to start get in your lab, and start doing things.
Jay saw me. I mean, I don't want to say too much, but because it's something for our shop. But Jay saw me the other day
That's the best
working my own
magic.
thing.
That's how we've always worked the best magic is I want to make this with this intention. I want this thing to have this particular qualities to it. And so I start looking around my house. What do I have? What do I have right here? Because I'll do the thing where I'm like out, I'll buy this thing and just kind of keep it away, just kind of keep it aside, or I'll buy a little piece and that's how this is also kind of another discussion topic too, and I think we've touched on this before of like things, like the having of things in like occult and magical practice. Like you don't always need the most top tier, expensive, gold
Yeah.
encrusted,
Yes.
daggers and shit. And that could be a whole, separate topic. But just little things that I just acquire and then I go, okay, what do I have on hand? And you start going from there.
I will say this though, if you're gonna splurge for anything on your occult budget, splurge for somebody to have done something at the correct planetary hour and planetary day and having done all the associations, because if someone takes
Yes.
the shortcut on those, that's where you get fucking problems, right? Like there's a lady out here, I ain't gonna talk about her too much, but she does like some magic shit you can buy. And I'm not like that into stuff that you can buy from somebody else who does magic, but like this lady fucks and knows what's up. Like when you know that somebody knows their shit and you're like, oh yo, there's like real gold in this, right? Like is she making an abundance spell and she got real gold flakes in it? Mm-hmm. She knows what she's doing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just saying.
Yeah, I was thinking about that the other day.
Anyways,
Like Rue was like, "Oh, we have a ton of pyrite, downstairs. We should do some kind of, wealth or abundance spell." And like part of me was like, "Yeah, like I get the association. Like, yeah, it's shiny, it's gold-ish, but it's also called fool's gold." And for me, I'm like, it's a wealth spell with a kickback. It's a wealth spell with
That's why I don't use it.
terms and conditions may apply. And I think that kind of,
I
and I
actually
don't
feel that
know
item is
if
better for like hexing.
almost, like to take away wealth,
Or to make somebody's like pursuits of gain fall apart on them because what they've been seeking is actually fool's gold.
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
So it's good for
so
making someone's
like
ventures fall apart.
but so I personally would not use pyrite for a wealth spell. Like now that I've really been sitting on this and thinking about it, and chewing on it, I'm like, I don't think I would. And it's also
I can
not
tell you
wrong to
exactly
have
what I would use.
it's also not wrong to have a thinking phase either, too. Like to just spend a couple days mulling over your ingredients. What do you need? What hour do you need to work this? If that's even important to you, you know. Oh, what were you saying,
If I may,
Square?
real quick,
Mm.
just a quick and dirty wealth spell that I can think of off the top of the head. Goldschlager vodka, because like alcohol
It's
is
real
like an
gold
excess
flakes.
thing, and it's what we would actually do with food that we weren't going to eat. You turn to alcohol. So it's double emblematic because it's got gold flakes in it as well. You get some honey, you get some fucking goldenrod. Now, bam, you're done. That you could add more, but like, if you got your goldenrod collected by like a pathway or like a major road, it's not for ingesting, but for like the purposes of having like acumen in travel and like Wealth is also associated with like traveling merchants and roadways. So like if you got it
Yep.
at say like railroad tracks, also, bam, there you go, right? Little
Yep.
shit like that. In fact, you could even throw a horseshoe onto it because people might think horseshoes are explicitly a luck thing, but they're also tied to money because horses were one of the greatest forms of having monetary value that somebody could
Yep.
have. Like back in the day, somebody would refer to somebody as being wealthy as owning many horses, right? Or owning much cattle, right?
Yep.
Like literally in runic divination system, fehu, which is wealth or cattle, it's just what it literally means is cattle, but it's associated with wealth because that's where that comes from, right? So horseshoes are also not just tied to luck and protection because of the iron and the forged iron nature of them, but also if it's a worn horseshoe, then it was tied to horses and travel and therefore acumen and monetary gain as well. It's just little associations like that, right?
It's funny, like all those things. I'm like, oh, I have all of those available in my shop for purchase. 'Cause I
Mine
have a
is the
couple horseshoes.
Goldschlager, so go get
Yeah, I
yourself
didn't have the
a
gold.
Mickey or
No
a 2.6.
Goldschlager. Yeah, I don't have a liquor
Go get some
license.
Goldschlager and do some good money for the shop. Ayo.
Yeah. Also,
Oh,
Goldschlager is good if you like cinnamon.
here's an idea. You could even do it. Oh yeah, cinnamon works well with that too. And herbs in general, because herbs are also in association with wealth for the longest amount of time. To have herbs was just considered wealth, right? So if you want, since everything has a spirit, especially the essence of which is betwixt and the shop itself, you can start doing remissions and dedications to the spirit of the business itself and start doing like Goldschlager pouring offerings, a little bit of honey, and then you have like a horseshoe on like your workspace, give it a little bit of goldenrod, wham, bam, bam. You start like feeding that business spirit daily and she'll fucking take off and start pulling people into your orbit, right?
Yeah. And that's definitely my next phase of where I'm at. I think I've really settled into my day job, into where like I don't feel like I constantly have to like be terrified I might lose it. So I think that part of my brain is like, okay, you have built this foundation and now you can start to build like the next phase of where I want to go, because I know I'm not going to work this job forever. Something will happen in which I won't be working it anymore. I don't know what it will be, but that's just the nature of how things are. Nothing is forever. And really, I know I'm never going to retire, so really, it's my retirement plan as well. So build it now, and we'll have it, as I age. But I forget what I was saying. Right, back to that though. Back to the idea of scrape knees, get occult degrees. So thinking about it, I was chewing on it for a few days. I personally wouldn't use pyrite for a wealth spell. However, if Rue still decided to move forward and created their own, well, I wouldn't be involved because my own personal, bias would be
involved.
infused in that. But if Rue was like, I'm gonna work a wealth spell, because I just came to this conclusion just now in my head. I was like, I wouldn't use pyrite. Rue's asleep right now. I don't even think they can hear me. So I don't even know, like, if I would even tell them to kind of test this, right? So if they still wanted to work that wealth spell with the pyrite, go for it. Try it. Let's see what happens. And then but then if I wrote a blog about this, right? Like, we're going to try this wealth spell with pyrite. You would have people like, no, don't do that. That's, like, abort mission. Don't do that. And, try it. Try it.
Give it a shot. You should experiment.
Give it a whirl.
You should.
Yeah.
If you ever read, it's one of my most favorite grimoires to read through. One, it's just very aesthetic. Two, it's very interesting, and there's a lot to take from it. Whether you are a Christian or not, but if you ever read through the Book of Oberon, it's a Shakespearean era grimoire. Expertly translated. It's beautiful. And you will actually see a lot of the operations in there are called experiments. Magic in certain grimoires were once called, which I've said this on here before, but it's fine to repeat, were called experiments. And because we should experiment, we should be finding out what works and what doesn't. I have made many recipes for for the same purposes. Whether we're talking about money, so let's talk about the amount of success oils that I have attempted to make. And I have one that I like to use in my practice, but I've always wanted to make it better. I find that it's still a little clunky. The success that it brings is very short-lived, and it's very
Not long.
it's definitely
lasting.
long, and it feels a little too rough around the edges. You know what I mean? It's always sort of like you're just making it. You know what I mean? Which is fine, but it just feels a little. There's just something to it. You know what I mean? I could feel it in the way that it works. And I have a recipe that I know I want to make. It's just, I have to buying Magick is unfortunately buying supplies is a little pricey. But take time to reflect on what it is that you're doing, but also like stop being afraid of 9 times out of 10 if you do something weird, your spell just won't work. It won't do anything. But there are times where you'll work a spell and it just it won't land the way you think it will, and it definitely tickles in a not so tickly kind of way. And that's fine. You just cleanse yourself, meditate, relax, you're not gonna die, and you keep pushing. If you offend a spirit, you know what you do? You unoffend the spirit. You give your offerings, you say, "Hey, I didn't realize I was doing this thing," and you fix it. It's really that easy.
Giggles. Got take 2 meditations and call me in the morning, okay?
Literally, relax. Relax.
Okay, first of all, I'm gonna need you to fucking relax.
Unless it's the fair folk and you damage some of their really beloved bushes, in which case, just
panic.
Please just say sorry. You don't need to panic, but just don't not say sorry.
Also, respect your environment. Oh, and stop putting up standing rocks too. You're not making Karens. You're being an idiot.
Oh, the standing rock sculpture thingy.
I don't mind those that much. I'm gonna be honest. I don't even mind those that much. It sucks when they're pulling it from bugs and stuff, but at the end of the day, what I fucking hate is people littering. If you could stop doing one fucking thing, it's goddamn littering. I'll let every white person build a fucking rock Karen if they stop littering. That's the deal.
Yeah, so many t-shirt, memeable, merchable phrases here today.
60 meditations and call me in the morning.
The stipulation is don't make the rock Karens by grabbing it out of a stream bed. That's a real dick move because that causes huge amounts of erosion on the stream. But if they're already dry rocks and shit ain't living underneath it, bro, I don't care. You're not hurting nothing.
That's what I meant, right? About the riverbeds. That's specifically.
Yep, 100%. Don't Karen from a riverbed, otherwise you are specifically a cunt, and I ain't gonna smack you personally.
Right.
Karen.
Don't be a Karen.
Yeah, don't be a Karen. Yeah, we are a little bit over an hour. We did have a couple listeners here, but we were so intent on this conversation, and I think you guys were following along too. So we have Sage, Brian, and Kai here. Thank you for jumping in with us. It was really great to have you here.
We love you all.
Yes, we love you all. We're back. I do have a big backlog to get through. I apologize as usual. However, life does that thing it does, and I am human.
We will also be moving our time slot to be doing at noon. It may not happen next weekend because I couldn't book my appointment around that week specifically, but every other appointment that I've had for the foreseeable future has cleared for the 12 o'clock time slot after next week. So if there's cancellation, I will tell y'all, and I'll be booked for 4 o'clock instead, or 3 o'clock, or whatever they give me, and then we can do noon. But if we don't do it, expect our 2 p.m. next week, and then after that, going forward, we will move to the 12 o'clock time slot.
Yeah, we are going to be shifting to noon soon. Just because I wake up, me and Sophia, I think we're the early crew. Usually we're up pretty early.
Early gang. It also depends. Sometimes my show calls, they're like, okay, be in for 1:30 today, and I'm like, and then Monday they're like 6 a.m. 50 kilometers away. Wake up at 4 to get there, and I'm like, let's do it.
Yeah.
So it depends.
Yeah. So yeah, we're gonna shift to noon, do it a little earlier in the day before we're completely burnt out. And I think that was some of my issue too with talking is like I've already done 10,000 things, and I don't know if I have the energy to sit here for an hour and talk about brain intense things. Yeah, that's what we're gonna be doing there. To answer your question, Brian, I think everyone is doing well here in these crazy times. Or it wasn't really a question. It was you said, I hope everyone is doing well in these crazy times. I think we are doing well, all things considered. We're here,
Yeah.
and that counts for something.
I'll say this. I was talking to my RMT. Losing my phone stresses me out more than the thought of dying. Because like if I die, cool, that's it. It's over. Let's move on to something else. Bye. If I lose my phone, I'm fucked for work, and then I don't get my job, and then my car can't get paid, and then I'm fucking homeless again. That's a fucking situation. That sucks. I'm literally more anxious about losing my phone than dying, as an indication of where I'm at. So
that's a sobering thought.
It is. It's so like the worst part is I can't help but laugh at it. Like
right.
You want to see how sad it is, but like I get it.
Millennial humor be like.
It's like that.
It's really not even sad. Just losing your SIM card is so fucking devastating. Like I have backup phones in case shit happens. If I lose that phone down a grate and the SIM card's toast, I'm fucked because I need my call sheets, I need my WhatsApp chats. I have so many like information services I can't migrate without the SIM card. It fucks my work life. So like literally losing my phone is a bigger deal than fucking dying. Okay, so.
Yeah. I get
Rough
it.
shit, yeah. But yeah, we're doing okay.
We're
all things considered.
I think
and
you can kind of.
I
tell
hope
that,
you
like,
are too.
a little tired.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Same.
Yeah. I really hope everyone involved in our community and here today, watching this with us. I really hope we are all doing okay. I'm committed to survival. That's just where I'm at, and I hope we can all party on the other end of this, the other side of this.
I might be in the minority, but I'm doing fucking phenomenal right now. So
good. That's great. Yeah,
it's great. It is great.
And if World War III happens, I'll volunteer. Like whatever.
Yeah.
I'll go shoot Nazis. It'll become a time-honored family tradition. My great-grandpa did it. I'll do it if I have to. It's a little.
Maybe that's what I'll do for the rest of my day. I Blood Rain on the vampire game where you kill Nazis. That's they have it like for release on PlayStation. I'm gonna see if it's on sale.
I called out a fascist on Instagram today.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
He yeah. He's a queer baiting fascist who went to like a fascist march in London, and he was like all about like getting immigrants out of London or the UK, and I was like, oh look everybody, it's a fascist. And then he had people attacking me, calling me names, and then he like made fun of me on his stories, but I didn't care. And then I like posted snapshots of like him, and I was like, look at this douchebag, he's a fascist. And yeah, he already like lost like 250,000 people, like followers. And I was like, but not for me, not for me, like
other
but I
people
was like
sharing it.
Yeah, but other people. So I was like, you know what? People know what you are, and I know what you are. So fuck you.
Big rocks.
Whatever.
Yeah. And so in addition to me catching up on that backlog, we are still going to move. We have the book club thing in place. There is that in the channel, so please take a look at that. We are going to move forward with divination nights. It's just a matter of scheduling and kind of figuring out probably the best time to do it. I think it might just be best to do it when the damn moon is full and just be like, that's going to be the night that it's going to be.
Moon divination nights, that's fun.
Yeah, maybe just go by the moon cycle, but we'll give you more info on that. And then the other thing that we have here is I am going to make up some swag packs for the podcast, like that people like stickers and stuff like that I can send to people, so you can like help us promote the podcast. Obviously not something you pay for, something I pay to send to you, and then you just throw stickers everywhere that has like podcast
Is there an item I can request on that? I don't know how doable this would be to get done, but I would love to get the logo done on like just like a sheet of, not sheet, but like a white cloth that you could use as like a ritual altar item. Because
like
I'm dead ass serious about wanting about wanting to do that spell for the wealth for the spirit of the store and the podcast. And I think doing those to that would be super ideal. And I fucking put that up in my space.
Yeah, I'll take a look and see what things are available.
I have an idea for that as well, actually.
Yeah.
I have an alternate idea, so I would do it too.
Yeah.
I actually like know what I want for like the spirit house to be as well.
All right. Well, I guess we're cooking with that. But yeah, I don't want to keep us here too much longer because we are trying to keep these as close to an hour as possible. But I just wanted to thank everyone for being here, everyone involved in this podcast, everyone listening. We are getting back to our roots. I think we're recalibrating after all of this stuff that's happening. And
Absolutely.
And and if you want to support us financially, you can do that over on our Ko-fi page. We have a couple tiers there. So one of the tiers that we have is the Hail Satan tier. That's $6.66 a month. We do have a subscriber to that tier. That is Tink. And Tink, I did see you in the Discord earlier asking about like the swag packs, I think, in the Divination Night. So that we are moving forward with that just soon coming. And Tink always wants us to remember the people of Palestine. So free Palestine.
Free Palestine, end war.
From the river to the sea, and don't forget the 2 flotillas, the one that's also being firebombed by Israel right now, just trying to bring in food. So all eyes on that.
All eyes on Palestine.
They're starving them.
All right, everyone. With that, we are going to head out of here, and we will see you in the next one.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.